right, example 1. We've seen these problems already. And usually we had one equation that had all the variables in it, right? We call that the main equation. And then we had all the substituting equations from there. The trick to this is that none of these equations have all the variables in it. All right, that's what makes it different. The name of the section is called advanced substitution. You call it what you want to call it. We're going to have to do some substituting to make this happen. What I want you to see here is, since none of the equations has all 4 variables, and none of the equations has the same 2 pair of variables, right? There's RW, TW, here's RW to RB. RB with TB, there's TB with TW. If we had like 2 equations that had the exact same 2 variables, we could work along with those lines. We don't have that either. So what I want to go to is the bottom 2 equations. RB is equal to something and TB is equal to something. And RB and TB are in one of the equations up here. All right. And typically that's what's going to happen. The bottom 2 equations are going to be substituted into one of the top 2 equations, depending on which ones these are. So these are subscript B's, so I go back to the subscript B one. If I replace both of these objects, this object and this object, with what they equal, I'm going to create some new equation, and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to replace R sub B with 3R sub W. I'm replacing T sub B with 2 minus T sub W. That's one object being replaced with multiple objects, so parentheses are necessary. Equals 6. And what you'll notice is I've created a new equation. It's not any better than the other equations, all right? But at least it's something different, all right? If I go ahead and start simplifying this, I'm going to get 6R sub W minus 3R sub W T sub W is equal to 6. And you may or may not notice, I mean, this happens occasionally, it doesn't happen always, but everything divides by 3. Not a requirement, you don't have to do it, but if we can make numbers smaller, it might be worth doing. So divide everything by 3, 2R sub W, trouble writing, R sub W minus R sub W T sub W is equal to 2. Divide everything by 3, and now we got this equation, which is more complicated than any of these equations over here, right? But what's going to happen, and what you should expect to happen, is this. R sub W T sub W has a value of 6.
Whoa.
That doesn't tell me R sub W equals 6 or T sub W equals 6. It just tells me that product is 6. And since I have this object inside this equation, I can replace this with the number 6. And you should expect that type of thing to happen each time. So if I continue on with this now, by replacing both of these variables as product with a single number, the only variable left in the problem is R sub W. I'm going to move the minus 6 over, so it becomes plus 6. I'm going to get 2R sub W is equal to 8, therefore R sub W is equal to 4. The directions state very clearly find the values of all 4 variables. I found 1. Okay, I've got to find 4. The other 3 I have to find are T sub W is equal to something, R sub B is equal to something, and T sub B is equal to something. Put a little box around. Here's my answers. All right. So now that I know R sub W, how can I find something else? Substitute back into one of those. So if I know RW is equal to 4, the 2 places I can go to find anything else would be right here or right here, because both of these have an RW in it, right? So which one do you want to go back to, the top or the bottom? The top one. Top one, okay. So if I go here and change R sub W into 4, I'm going to get 4 times T sub W is equal to 6. Divide both sides by 4 and reduce. 3 halves would be right. I'm going to go with 1.5. All right. Now I know both R sub W and T sub W. Okay, so if I know R sub W and T sub W, right here and right here, I can find stuff about R sub B and T sub B, right? So let's go R sub B first. R sub B is equal to 3 times R sub W. So R sub B is equal to 12. T sub B is equal to 2 minus T sub W. T sub W being 1.5. So T sub B is equal to 0.5. Once we find an answer, it's very easy to find the rest of the answers. But again, this type of substitution should be expected. Right? Bottom two get substituted into one of the top two, put it in, simplify, and then expect the other one to be present, and then you substitute that in and you're good to go.